No, I think it's good. Oh, seems to be live.
Okay, yay.
We are new to YouTube Live. So yeah, this is a first time for us, but so lovely to see you. I want to introduce you to my guest today. I'm so thrilled to have her. Shanna is a financial genius. Shanna, can you tell us very quickly, like who you are, what you do, where you're from?
Yeah, so I'm Shanna Skidmore. I live in Knoxville, Tennessee. So you're going to hear my Southern accent for sure. I have worked in finance for 15 years. So I am a former Fortune 100 financial advisor. So that just means I started in personal finance, working with entrepreneurs on their personal home budgets, investments, all that. I did that for 5 years, then transitioned into corporate finance. So I worked directly under the CFO doing which is called a controller. So I did all pricing, operations, all the things, and then started my own company from there because I saw this hole in the industry. Finance is such a male dominated world. And a lot of small businesses are owned by females. So though I don't work with all females, I do work with a lot. And so, yeah, I just created this company to offer financial services and to teach others how to be empowered in their finances. So I have that personal and business background, which I think is really cool. And I've done this for 15 years now.
That's amazing. Yeah, I feel like definitely in our like creative entrepreneur space, there's like this whole like finance topic is not actually very discussed. And even the things that are, I feel like, yeah, it's all like male dominated, like the Profit First book and everything. But it's so vital that we know our number. Like, why are we building a business if like it comes out with no profit at the end? Like, what the hell are we actually doing with our time then? So anyways, I'm excited for this conversation. So I have Shanna here. We are going to be talking about pricing for profit. So let's start at the beginning. Shanna, so many times when we like price our services, we're just like shooting in the dark. We have no idea. So we look at like, what is she charging? And like, I have no idea. Then imposter syndrome comes in, and then we just like pick a number out of thin air and don't actually know how that relates to anything. So how do we actually price our services? So there is profit at the end that we can take home.
Yeah. So I love what you said, Paige. I think that's so true. So what I saw when I started working with entrepreneurs are several things that everybody's doing. So first, I just want to tell if everybody listening, if you've ever done these things or you feel this way, you're not alone, because this is how most people feel. So like you said, the first thing that I see a lot is people discounting their price to book a job. So that comes back to what I call emotional pricing. And to me, in order to remedy that, it's about understanding why you charge what you charge, which is what I hope to share with people today, like how to be confident in your price. And that will eliminate emotional pricing because you're able to confidently share how you came up with your prices. Because one of the second things that I see is people like price shopping the competition to compare your prices. and while I think in some ways that's valid to see what other people are charging, I honestly just kind of throw that out the window, because when you follow what I teach about pricing, you will know so well why you charge what you charge. You don't know why they charge what they charge and how they came up with those numbers. So it doesn't matter to compare. So that's the second thing I see a lot. And then the third thing that I see a lot is kind of sacrificing profit for the integrity of the job. So it's like, for web designers, that's your time. Profit is time. So you're giving more. And I don't know, Paige, if you ever did this in the beginning, like you just keep giving more and more and more and more to justify your own price. Yeah. So you feel like you're sacrificing profit, but for web design, I think it's hard for anybody who's service-based, especially because that's just your time. So you're just giving more and more and more time. But time is profit. Time is that old saying, time is money, blah, blah. And then the last thing I saw a lot was, like not taking a paycheck in order, to kind of reinvest in the business. And that all four of these things actually comes back to pricing for profit. And what I would love to share today is that comes back for me about just a formula. And I call it the 60-40 model. And I teach it to all my students. It's the idea of not ever letting your costs, which is your time, your materials, labor, those things we'll talk about, always knowing that that's never more than 40% of your price. So if you're charging somebody $1,000 to create a website, it's not costing you in time, materials, or any kind of outsourced labor more than $400. So when you know that formula, that 60-40 model, you can really be confident in why you're charging what you're charging, but also know that there's going to be profit at the end of the day. So to me, it all comes back to knowing your formula.
Yes, that makes sense. That's amazing. Yeah. So if someone's sitting there and they're like, okay, I'm going to be a website designer, what do I charge? Like, what would your advice be to that person? What is kind of like if you give us an overview of like, what is this process of me determining how much I should be asking for?
Okay, I actually put together some slides, and I think this would be really helpful to share first. So let me like to answer this question, because I think numbers can be challenging and hard. And so let me just give a quick visual. Let's see if this works. My biggest thing that I want to share is, honestly, I want to just kind of mindset shift for a second. We're talking about pricing, but I would love to use the language profit. I really want to shift everyone's mindset. Price matters, but everything comes down to profit. And profit is just kind of price minus cost. It's what's left over. So I think the most important thing for anyone who's like, how do I price? How do I set a price? How do I even get started? Is number one, know your cost. And that's what I want to start with.
How do we determine our cost if it's like our time? What is that?
Oh, I'm so excited you asked, Paige. Okay, so until you know your cost, price truly is just a guessing game. And this is why I always say, don't compare to your competitors, because they could work a lot faster than you. They could work a lot slower than you. And so does that make sense? Like, you don't know their profitable price because it's so different than yours. This is one of my favorite quotes. It's from Burt Rutan. My husband's an aerospace engineer, so he's he's an airplane designer. He says, never sell anything unless you know what it costs. So quickly, cost is made up of three factors: material cost. So it's like actual
physical stuff.
Let me give you an example. We have these planners. Material cost is like the cardboard, the paper, that's material cost. As a web designer, you might not have a lot of material costs. That might be a gift for your client. Then labor, that's all your outsourced labor. So if you're outsourcing any kind of copywriting or outsourcing it, that would be that kind of labor. But time is the biggest misunderstood factor of cost. So I'm so glad you asked that question. So I'm going to fast forward just a little bit just to get to your question. But when you think about time, I actually want you to think about yourself as two different people. Okay, Paige, so you are Paige, the CEO of the business, and you are Paige, the employee of the business. This is the biggest misconception about pricing that I see with all my students, all my clients. You are two different people. So when you say, I'm just getting the business up and running, it's okay that I'm not getting paid yet, right? Because there's that stat out there that most businesses don't make any profit in the first 3 years. That is true. You aren't getting paid as the CEO. That's so true. CEOs get paid after there's profit. But you are always should be paid as the employee. So because if you had to hire somebody to do your job, you would have to pay them. And this is why I see people not making any money, because they're not getting paid as the employee. So what I have all of my students do is I go through and I use Toggl, Toggl. It's a free time tracking app. I say that it saved my own business, and it's my favorite tool. Track your time on each project from start to finish, and then set it as, and we'll talk about this maybe later if we get to it, set it first just as actual, like what you'd have to pay a virtual assistant to do that, $15 an hour, $20 an hour, depending on where you live, it might be more, but that is your employee working wage. And once you know that, because everybody says, price, what's your value to your time is value, and I think that's, to me, I am so like, give me a number.
It's still vague. That's still vague. I still don't know what number I should put on the page.
Right? So if it takes you, 20 hours to develop a website or whatever product you're doing, you can start with like, okay, at $20 an hour, 20 hours times $20 an hour, $400 for my time. And then that should not cost you more than 40%. So you do 400 divided by 0.4. I know I just went numbers on you. And then you're going to get your prices like $1,200. So it's like that way you've priced for profit and you've paid for your time. I think people just don't feel like they deserve to get paid for their time. But if you think about it like as an employee, it changes the idea of it. So that's where I would start. Track your time.
Yep. I think it's interesting what you said is like, oh, businesses don't make money in the first few years. And so people just think like, oh, if I'm not making money, that's fine. And I'm like, no, my business made profit from like day one. When I started the business, it was like, I need to pay my rent. And therefore I'm going to do like freelance website design. And therefore I need money to come out of this thing. I'm not going to go like this whole idea of like spend everything that you make to like reinvest and everything. I'm like, I'm not building this business to like exit it and sell it or something. Like I'm building it to be my job. Like that's what I'm building it for. And so therefore it needs to make money from the beginning. That's what I love about like service-based business. It can be profitable from the very beginning. So
oh, absolutely. And I find that people and we've talked about this before, Paige, but I'm the same. I had to make money from day one of my business. And I actually find that business owners that have to make money figure this out more quickly.
Yeah.
Whereas if getting paid, you know, if you don't necessarily have to take money from your business, it's easier just to, you know, put it all back in the business. But I always challenge people to think like, if you had to hire an employee, you would have to pay them. So make sure you could at least do that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Especially for some reason, like you need to go take a mat leave or you need to go take time off or you're sick or something. You need to replace someone to do your work. Like,
right.
Therefore, and you need to be thinking. And again, even for like website design, like that is a high hourly rate these days. So yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Good. Okay. Amazing. Okay. So let's talk about common mistakes. Like what are the things you see people doing most often when they come to you and they're like, I have no profit. I don't know why it's happening. Like what tends to be the big problems that they need to fix?
Yeah, I think the biggest is, again, not understanding your own time. So people will come to me and say, like, I have a lot of, I mean, I work with all kinds of industries, but floral design came to mind first, like a floral designer who's spending all of her money, like if she's charging a client $5,000, she's spending $4,500 on flowers. And so I think just really putting too much time, too much materials, too much of all the goods to create that service. So that's kind of the biggest that I see first, is not really understanding that there should be profit in every single job, especially like you said, if you don't have to make the money, it's really easy just to just spend it all. But what I always tell people is, if you're pricing a job for web design, you know, $5,000 and it's taking you so much time to do it, and you're just over giving and over giving and over giving, you're telling the client, this is what $5,000 buys me. Yep. It's like going to the grocery store and putting it all on the cash register and being like, you know, you can't just make up what you want to pay for all of this. Like there's a price for all of it. And so I would say it does a disservice to the entire industry and to your client, because if they think milk is $1, but it's actually $3, like they're going to be surprised next time they go to buy milk, right? And it's the same with the web design or any kind of goods or service. We keep giving. And that client's like, oh, this is a $5,000 website. Yep. It was actually a $15,000 website, but they just did you a hoot. I also see people really think that their client will understand that they just gave them a huge deal, but they don't.
No,
they don't.
Just respect you less. They are way more difficult to work with. Like, yeah.
So I think the biggest, is just really overspending, not knowing how much profit should be made in every single job and being okay with it, especially in those beginning years, because you're just trying to get the business going, not valuing your own time. The other one that I see a lot is discounting, just emotional pricing. Like if you've ever sent a proposal and just immediately be like, you know what, I can offer you friends and family or whatever it is, if we do this or this or this, just discounting. And I think that comes back to, again, not being confident in what you're charging or the sales process you're taking people through. So I really just see a lot of emotional pricing and a lot of over giving, giving way more than they actually paid for, which in the end just really hurts.
Totally. Okay. Yeah. So if I want to set my price right now, I need to figure out what is this costing me, both the materials, which for website designers, like not so much materials. Yes. Client gifts and that sort of thing, but like not that much, but mostly the vast majority of the thing will be our time. So we have to figure out like, if I were to pay an employee to do this thing at like 40, 50, $60 an hour or something, times how much time it actually takes to do this job, then it's 40% is the cost, 60%. So that whatever that number you come up with is 40% of end up charging.
Yep. So if you think about materials, you're right. You don't have a lot. If you do a client gift, that might be materials. If you, like credit card processing fees, that's material cost. That takes 3 to 5% every time they make a payment. That's very much forgotten cost. If you are buying anything specific to that job, so if you're buying any stock photography or anything like that, that's material costs specific to the job. And so
all the softwares that we use to run the business, like we're doing HoneyBook or our own website or anything, is that kind of in the 60% or is that in the 40%?
That's a great question. That's an overhead cost. So that should be covered with that 60% profit.
Okay.
So that's a great question that I get every single time.
Yep.
So you want to think, just to produce this good, if it's something you would have to buy no matter what to keep your business running, that's an overhead that should not be. So add those materials, labor. Again, you might not have any if you're not outsourcing anything specific to a job. What I can think about specific to a job for website design would be like copywriting, maybe. That's probably the biggest one.
Maybe a little bit of coding if you need someone to like tweak something. That's
a little bit of coding. Yep. So that would be specific to a job. That would be labor costs. So the biggest one, you're right, for any service-based person, web designers, any service-based industry, is time. So track your time. I say to do this for like 3 to 5 events from start to finish, booking the client all the way to delivering the product. Track your time. And then assign an employee working wage. So start low. And then it's not like if you had to go hire a web designer and they're going to charge $600 an hour, like that's not, we're starting low here. This is employee working wage. So let's say, that comes out to, I'm just going to make up some numbers with my calculator here. So if we said it took 10 hours and we assigned $50 an hour, which again, I tell people to start at $15 to $20 an hour, depending on where you live in the country. That's $500 of cost. And then you would divide that number, divide by 0.4. That tells you should be charging $1,250.
Gotcha.
So what's great about that is you say, hey, your price is $1,250. And let me preface, let me say that should be your starting price.
Yeah.
So I would say price is first about actual cost. That's $1,250. So to create an actual profitable price based on $500 of time cost, and $1,250 is your price. Now from there, because Paige, you were charging like way more than this, right? You're like, that is so low. We should never charge $1,000. Okay. With your first client, you might have charged $1,000.
$500.
Yeah. So you're charging, okay. So this is to start. And then what happens first, as your perceived value goes up. So I always say, you don't set like, your client doesn't set the price. What happens is your client decides if that price is worth it to them. That is all about perceived value. And how do we increase perceived value? That's track record. That's your portfolio. That's client testimonials. So what's great is like you start here, but then as your perceived value goes up, that working wage, instead of $50 an hour, it's okay, now we're $70 an hour. Now we're $80 an hour. Now we're $100. So that's where you really start increasing your price really quickly. But that's how I back into the number. It's just like, this is what the cost is, divide by 0.4. This is my price. And then that remainder 60%, like you talked about, goes to pay your CEO wage. And all your overhead. So that way you're creating, not only being able to pay yourself as the employee, but you're creating profit in your business for that CEO wage, all your overhead, all that other stuff. So that's where we would start.
Such a relief to just have like numbers and not like, oh, I need to just like look at everyone else's price and then like have some fraudy feelings and some imposter syndrome. And then I come up with something like, this is just so much more, okay, this is how I do it. And I know that at the end, I do it by these like percentages and everything, then I'm going to come out with like a profitable business. So
oh, absolutely.
Thank you. That was so good. I feel
the exact same way.
Of relief right now.
Because I feel like when people say like, price what you're worth, I'm like,
it's also confusing.
That's not really helpful.
Yeah, exactly. It's not helpful.
The only time that I will say it is a little helpful to compare is with a service-based business, if you might be a slow worker in the beginning, you might need to have a lower starting working wage. And that just, if it takes you double the amount of time, you can't charge the same working wage, because then it'll be double the price, right? So I do think there's a factor there where it's helpful to be like, am I even in the right?
I agree with that. Yep. So that's what I'm always like. I would like, okay, this is my price, this is what I need to like make a profit and everything. They go look like, is this at all in line with like what's happening in the industry? Because if you're way off one way or the other, like super expensive or super cheap, it's a problem. So
yeah. And then, but once you build that track record, that then
And
it's
you
like you
can
can
go
be
into
double or triple the price.
yeah,
Yeah, that doesn't matter. But in the beginning, I think it's
yep,
really important to be like, you might just work slower than other people. So
yep,
therefore your time cost is higher. So you've got to lower that working wage to be, in the market.
yep. Okay. Next thing. So I feel pretty clear on that. I feel like that makes a lot of sense. Next thing I want to talk about is your financial philosophy. And you did something so interesting. I was so inspired by this. When I heard this, I talked to my husband's ear off about this for so long. You determine what is enough for you and your family. And then 1 year or every year, you work until you make that amount of money and then you stop working for the rest of the year. Can you tell me about that? Like how that came about, what it's like? Tell me all the things.
Yeah. So when I worked in finance, I had a mentor tell me, if you don't want to make more money, you're just lying to yourself.
Mm,
And for a long time, I believed that. I believed that success was making more money and getting all the awards and walking across the stage. And I really, tried to achieve that goal. And I never really did. I mean, I did really well in finance, but I never achieved the goal someone else set for me. When I realized is my values were different. I would leave at 4 p.m. and go to the gym and work out with Kyle. Like
mm,
I did not work the same hours that they worked because I valued different things. So when I started my own company, I just started teaching people this idea of defining what is enough for you. Success, I realized like success to us looks different for everyone. But it all comes back in some way to freedom, financial freedom, time freedom, whatever that is. And so I was like, if we could just define what is enough. And I teach all my students in my signature program, the Blueprint Model, to set that at 3 levels. Like, what do you need to have? Bare bones
yep.
need.
Yep.
What is kind of like what you want to have? That's, adding in all the extras, paying off debt, that what do you want to have? And then there's kind of that reach for the stars number where it's how far can we go? And what I love about having those 3 levels is if it's a year, like I had my daughter last year, it was a slower,
Mm-hmm.
I just covered our need. And you're right. Like there's some years, once I cover the need, it's like, I'm down, I'm out. Like I'm taking off. I feel comfortable. Yep. Because of the season of life that I'm in. And then some years I just keep working and push for my reach for the stars. And it's really fun. It just depends. But knowing that what is enough for you, knowing how many clients. So I started as a service-based provider, just like Paige, working one-on-one with clients. How many clients do I need to take on at what average price point? And I teach all my students, you probably knew this for your YouTube page, like what was I booking on average for each of my websites? For me, it was my one-on-one clients.
Mm-hmm.
Then I knew like I could take on 20 clients a year and not completely burn myself out. So I can back into how many clients I need to take on, what price point, and that covers my financial need. And so I started teaching, just this random, like, what is enough for you? What is enough? And it just like took like wildfire. I started teaching this in I think the first time I taught it was 2014. And then now I have so many of my past clients and students and people that have heard me speak, like sharing their own stories of like, what is it? And it's funny, Paige, when I first started teaching it, I was almost quiet about it because I felt as if it meant I was lazy or that I wasn't ambitious.
Yep.
But to me, it's like, I know what I have to make and I can either push further past that or I can slow down depending on what my life looks like in that season. And so, it's just this idea of like, what do you need to have?
Yeah, that's so important because for me personally, I would at the beginning of my business, it was like more. Like I just like there was no end to the number of things. Like I would think about like, hey, I want to save for a hosting payment, I want to save for a wedding, I want to save for an emergency fund, I want to like save for all these things. And then it was like, okay, well, then I just need to make more money. And it's just like it got so exhausting that I was like, Lord, this is awful. Like I don't like this feeling of constantly running after some number, which I can like never even get close to. And my business makes fantastic money. But even still, I was like, I had to learn to do a few things. I had to learn one, like, you don't need to achieve every financial goal this year. Like, you can also do it next year. That's also fine. Like, I wanted to like save for my retirement. If I could, I have this like, I don't know, fear around finances. And then I would just like, if I could, I would like save for my entire retirement this year. And it's like, okay, well, that's unrealistic. So
Me
like,
too, honestly.
and so like having this determining like, okay, what is my like minimum that we need? What is the like, okay, now I get the fun extras and this is like unbelievable if I really want to decide to kill it this year.
Yeah.
Having that just gives you so much peace, at least in my personal opinion.
So much peace. I had so many clients reach out to me in 2020 during the pandemic. And they were like, Shanna, this idea of defining enough is what saved me in this season, because I, you know me, I'm so much heart. I'm so believe that entrepreneurship is the best career ever, because you can design a life that you really love. But I have to have something concrete to hold on to. And for me, that is numbers, that's analytics, that's data. And so I had all these clients come to me and say like, okay, I was able to pivot or come up with a temporary offer or just do something because I knew what I had to make. And that's what I love. There are seasons where it's like need number, like we just got to reach that need. Whatever has to happen to get to that number to pay our bills, there's freedom in knowing that. And then there's freedom in knowing like, okay, well, if we reach for the stars, I could fully fund my retirement this year. And you know what? Only entrepreneurs get to say that kind of stuff, which is really cool.
Yep. Yeah. And that's so important because again, like, yeah, as an entrepreneur, you get to choose how much money you make. You get to choose how many clients you want to take on, how many launches you want to do, depending on like what style of business you're running. But at the same time, you can burn yourself out if it's always just more. And I think that's exhausting. Yeah. And I think also a real issue. I also felt like when I started defining enough and deciding on enough, I was like, am I not ambitious enough? Am I not as driven as other people? And then I was like, no, because the same thing as you is like, I value my life. Like I do value this year of my life. I don't just want to chill when I'm 65. Like I would like to also have a nice life at 31. And that would be really great to me. And I think when I look back at 65, I'm going to be pleased that I did that. Like I know that for a fact.
And I think you and I have talked about this too. Like we devalue the importance of rest, fun, time off, having a life outside of our business. I hear from so many entrepreneurs, like, I get my best ideas when I'm not working. And I'm like, this is why we need rest. But I wanted to bring this back to page 2, how defining enough relates to your price. So something I have all of my clients do is go through this exercise. I call it your time bank. It's like you make these deposits of time in your business. And then every time you take on a project or you say yes to a launch or whatever it is, you withdraw time. And so if I need to make $50,000, $100,000, whatever the number is, and then you look at your price, and then you look at how much time it takes you to create that, it actually gives you this really neat formula of, am I going to burn myself out? Is my price too low to actually reach my goals? Because if you have to take on, 60 clients to hit your goal, that tells you something about your price. That tells you my price, if you can take on 60, depending on what type of business, but as a web designer, 60, probably not sustainable long-term. If you have to take on 60 clients, I need to raise my price. So that's where you get to sit and, okay, how do we raise, again, perceived value? That's deliverables. That's, upping the aesthetic of your work. What projects are you taking on? And so that really does tell us something about our price as well. Or if you're just feeling completely burnout, well, now we know why. Like you have to take on 60 clients to hit your goal. Let's look at how we can increase price.
Yep. That totally makes sense. Okay, amazing. So you've mentioned the blueprint model. This is your course. It is currently open for enrollment. Tell me about this course and who should be taking this. What is a situation where someone's like, all right, this is right for you. You might want this.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. So I created the blueprint model in 2016, and I feel like that was like the beginning days of online courses. And it's funny. So I was working one-on-one with clients. I'd been in finance for 8 years at this point, and I was seeing these same patterns happening in every businesses: overworked, underpaid. And it came back to me just simple numbers that I feel like every entrepreneur needs to know to be empowered in their business, to make data-backed decisions. And so if okay, what's my sales goal? That's the defining enough. Like, what is enough for me? What does my price need to be? How do I create a sales process that increases perceived value? Like, these are the things I kept seeing. And I was doing one-on-one with my clients. And at the time, I was working with a client for 6 to 12 months, and I was charging $20,000 to $30,000 to do this process with them. And it's the same thing. Let's review your pricing. Let's look at the lifestyle you want. How much time can you give? And so my husband and I sat down because I couldn't take on any more clients and I was charging so much. I was feeling a lot of pressure. Does that make sense? Like I got to go change their life, which I did, like I would see them making $100,000 next year, $200,000, crazy. I had one client who was literally like 3 months before it was told her business was bankrupt. She should close the doors. And that was not an uncommon story that I heard. So I said, what if we just record my process so that more people could take it? And so we bought a camera. Don't even know which one. I mean, it was probably a couple $100. Sat down at our kitchen table, recorded my entire process, made videos. It's 6 weeks long, an 80-page like workbook to go with it. Just teaching people the numbers as the CEO in your business you need to know that will give you data that will tell you, am I priced correctly? Am I not? How can I hit my sales goal? What is my sales goal? Am I spending too much in my business? Like how much should I spend on my team? Nobody knows that. How much should I spend on rent? Like, can I spend 15% of my revenue on rent? I don't know. So I teach all of these numbers because I saw this underserved community that, I work with a lot of creative entrepreneurs. Business school isn't taught, like business isn't taught in art school, web design school, photography school, none of that. And I worked in finance for 5 years and I still had to figure a lot of this out. And so I created the blueprint model. And so it's a step-by-step program to teach you the business fundamentals I believe every business owner needs to know how to price for profit, define enough, create that sales goal, and then feel empowered in your finances. It's actually the best feedback I ever get is, Shanna, you make money simple. It's like just tells a story. Like, and when you know how to read the story, you can feel empowered to be like, okay, I can slow down because I know I'm going to make the number I need, or you know what, I'm going to reach for the stars. And so what if we create a scalable product? It's like you are empowered. What I also love about it is it's not industry specific. And I did that so intentionally because it teaches you how to be a business owner no matter your business. Because I would say about 60% of my students or clients pivoted. You went from service-based to digital product-based. And if you know the formulas, you can apply it to any product, any service. And so I want to empower all my students to know how to run a business, to analytically decide. And so it makes it relevant. So I would say it's perfect for anyone who doesn't feel like they're making the money they could be making in their business. They feel like they don't know what's going to actually move the needle forward. They're trying to do all of these things, but like, how do we just look at the numbers and understand what's working and what's not? Or for anyone who just is kind of afraid of numbers but knows that they need to understand, at least have a working knowledge of them. I really love, we have students in all stages of life, all different industries, but when people take it in their first 5 years, I really do think it sets them up for massive success. That doesn't mean we have a lot of people who are 10 plus years in. We have students in the Blueprint Model who are making $1 million+ in their business. Like if you don't understand how to read a profit and loss statement, it's a great time to take the Blueprint Model. Not that you have to be a CFO or your bookkeeper. That's not the goal. It's so that you know, hey, it looks like we're overspending on our team. I need to analyze that.
It helps you make decisions. It's like, okay, this is how all the numbers work. I now finally know numbers and make decisions with numbers, not just like gut feelings or whatever. And then and you have the confidence at the end of it that like, okay, there's going to be profit that comes out at the end of the year. I'm going to be able to pay myself. I'm going to be able to pay myself well and hit my financial goals. And yeah, I feel like it just gives you that literal blueprint. Like the term blueprint is a very accurate description.
Yeah, and literally it's like a roadmap, a business plan. What are you offering? What are the price points? I teach people how to analyze your offers to understand what the best use of your time is. And what I feel like is my differentiator for sure is I have a psychology and an art degree as well. I always say like I have a misfit puzzle, except for now it makes total sense, all of it. But it's like, okay, we look at the numbers, but then we go back and gut check and look at the heart. Like I know something might be my most profitable offer, but it's not the most fun for me. And I think that matters. I think it's important to look at both. And so I love giving people the analytical side and then meshing and pairing it with, okay, but how do we make this something you love and make it profitable?
Yep, that makes sense. Amazing. Okay, can you tell me a little bit like some results? I know you've had some exceptional students results from the ladies and a couple gentlemen who have gone through this. Can you talk about like what tends to happen in the after they've gone through this program?
I want to see it. Let me see. I have like 3 case studies I wanted to show you. Oh, here they are. Let me show you these case studies. Is that okay? Paige, do you want to see case studies?
Yes, yes.
Okay. These are definitely like more pricing, but these are all clients and students of mine. So this is Amy Asaba. She's a floral designer. So she would be like mostly product based. It's a very high cost. So this would not be the same as web designers, but I have an example in a second. So when I met Amy, she was at 82% product cost. So that means if she was charging a client $1,000, she was spending $820 on flowers. And then she had $180 left to pay herself, pay her team, pay for her rent, so she wasn't making any money. So what we did is first just understood her product costs. And this is what I teach all my students to do. Like, how much does it actually cost you to produce your goods? Then I showed her the formula, the 60-40 model, to quote jobs appropriately. And then from there, it was about setting expectations with clients in the sales process. If you're going to triple your price, which she did, how do you talk about and communicate perceived value? We have an entire I call them building blocks, but training in the blueprint model, all about the art of the sale. And it's about how to communicate through psychology, your perceived value, and then tracking that spending to ensure profitability. So you can't just like say, I can spend $400. You have to track it. So, okay. Amy said, the thought of budgeting and planning was extremely overwhelming to me, but then I started using the lessons I learned from Shanna. Within 1 year, we were making a profit and the business had drastically changed. Since then, I've been able to buy a house. She owns a studio. She takes over a 6-figure salary herself, and she has 3 employees. And I always love to talk about this because Amy was a single mom with 3 boys. And she went from like literally being told she was bankrupt to 1 year later, she made over $100,000 in profit, and simple tweaks with pricing, just simple tweak with pricing. Okay. This is Kat Schmoyer. She has Creative at Heart Conference, which Paige is how we met, which is so fun. So I met Kat back in 2016, I think is what she says in her, but she was running Creative at Heart and had no idea how to price it. So she's literally was like, I was unable to turn a profit on large scale events. She had at that time 50 to up to 200 attendees at her events. And so Kat was the same thing. First, we had to figure out per attendee cost. So that's gifts, meals, for each attendee. And then there's cost just for the event, renting the venue, that. So again, understanding costs, it's simple. It's actually super simple when you know how to do it. And then we estimated how many total clients. So this is for somebody who has like a product-based business or digital courses. This is a great example. You have to estimate how many you're going to sell to set the profitable price per one person. Okay. So this is Kat. She said, I tripled my profit in 2016 because of a quick conversation with Shanna where I wrote down the formula for her on a piece of paper. That's literally what we did. Okay. Here we go. It's like a 1-hour call. Tripled her profit. Continue to see massive results in my bottom line because of her system. I take a legit paycheck from the business every Friday. I figured out how I took this part out because it wouldn't fit on the slide. Her husband also left his job and takes a paycheck from the business. I figured out how I could achieve my reach for the stars number without losing my sanity or working 24/7. Can you tell I'm Team Shanna? This is what like the best feedback. This is what most people see, like increase price, increase profit, decrease time. Okay, last one. This is Lindsay. She's an event planner, and I actually think this is best for anybody who's service-based web design. The same thing's going to happen. This is what I want you to do. So for Lindsay, she said, I'm on a hamster wheel. Like I'm working all the time, no money to show for it. So for Lindsay, the most important thing was tracking her time because her time was cost. So for anybody who's still service-based web designers, track your time meticulously for 3 to 5 jobs. Then we knew her employee, like once we set that employee working wage, we found out what her price needed to be. And from there, we just had to work on her sales process to make sure she's communicating that well. And this is what happened. And this is what will happen for everyone listening. Okay. This is amazing. So today I truly voiced how much my time was worth. And I thought it was lofty. The price I quoted tripled in price. She said the client didn't even scoff at the price. They just asked where to sign. Could not have gone here without you. I would still be stuck on the hamster wheel. And I always say, like, it literally is simple. It's simple steps. What is your cost? Okay, therefore, what does your price have to be? And then adjusting how you're communicating that. And again, eliminating that emotional pricing, because like for Lindsay, she literally sat there. I mean, and it's hard work at first. It is hard work. It's not easy, but once you get it, it's like click. Once it clicks, it's done. So she wrote out everything she was doing. This would be for my web designers too. Everything you're doing. And she was like, this is hundreds of hours for event planner.
Mhm.
What am I doing? Charging $3,000. And so she tripled her price. She was doing 10, 15,000, I think, by the time she was done with the blueprint model. And they didn't even ask questions. You know why? Because when they saw, I teach my students, go through everything that's included. And your client's going to be there being like, I don't want to do all that, or I don't know how to do all that. And that's increasing your value. So that's what I see the most from the blueprint model. People who are tired, unable to take a paycheck. They have no idea why they're working so hard, not making any money, empowered to like know how to make money. And because you just need to know some simple numbers. And I love what I do. You can tell I'm very passionate about helping people, because owning a business, I know Paige, you feel the same, allows me to have a life that I truly do love. And I know that's so cliche, blah, blah, right now, but it's true. I think about going back to the corporate America, and I'm like, please, like, no. Showing up every day. Yes, ready.
And that's why I'm so thrilled to like introduce this program to people. So to my audience, I'm an affiliate for the Blueprint Model. I think this is the greatest thing, honestly. Like when I see people it just drives me crazy. Like you don't work as an entrepreneur and put all this time and effort and love and risk and stress into a business to come out making nothing or being stressed about your finances. Like, and that is the one difficult thing when, you are a business owner, you're not an employee anymore. You don't just get told, here's what you get paid, like, and here's your paycheck, and you go have to figure out, I don't know, the rest. Like you actually have to figure out, how do I even make it so that I do get a paycheck, and how do I keep my expenses in line, and what should my expenses be? And just like having all that, I think, is so important. Otherwise, truly why you run into business, because like it does take more stress, it does take more risk. And so being able to like have it actually generate like a proper profit, I think is so vital. So,
and I think it's such a disservice that business owners are told like, it's okay that you're not making money yet. That's normal. It's okay that you're working yourself into the ground. That's normal. And I'm like, business is hard. Sure. There are times where like I messed up in the beginning too. Like I had to figure out my own pricing. That's why I say toggle saved my life and my business and my marriage, because it tracks my time. And it's like, it's hard. Yeah, we have to figure some stuff out. But when you're equipped to know what to look for, it makes all the difference. And just saying you shouldn't make money, that's normal, or you should be working, like that's normal. It doesn't have to be that way. And it really doesn't have to be that way. I made $106,000 in profit my first year in business, not because I had everything figured out, but it's because I knew, like I said, I had to make money. I paid our bills. Like I had to figure it out. And that's why I wish everybody would take this early on in their business. But most, a lot of people,
you haven't done it early on, do it now.
do it now, like 10 years in. I mean, all of my 10-year in, people are like, I wish I'd done this in the beginning. And that's what they tell everybody, do it now. But get in, know your numbers. It's going to make such a difference in life.
Imagine taking one course and being able to triple your profit. Like, fantastic. Like actually paying yourself.
I had a client. I had a client who's an artist, and her dad was a famous artist, like super, super famous. And she came to me and she said, I literally was making pennies, like not taking a paycheck. 1 year after the Blueprint Model, she was making over $200,000. I mean, I see this. I had just a client I just posted on my website. She's a, like landscape architect. So in New York City, so they do design and build for New York City. It's really cool. And same thing. She was like, my employees made more than me because I didn't take a paycheck. And that's really sad. But she was like, within 6 months, she paid off a $70,000 like credit card debt in 6 months, $70,000. I mean, this happens all the time. And it's literally just like, where's my money going? Do I want it to go there? Am I pricing correct? Like simple tweaks when you know what to look for. And again, it takes a lot of work. I want people to know, like, you're going to get some spreadsheets out. But once you do it
quickly though, it's only like 6 weeks.
It's only 6 weeks. And it's fully led by me. It's not like it's a live class, and that's intentional because I want people to be able to ask me questions. We have mastermind calls every single week where people can get submitted work reviews. So you can submit work and I give you actual feedback for your industry and we have over 800 graduates of the Blueprint Model. We have a private community. And so we have these graduates. I mean, they are so smart now. They could teach the class because they know numbers as good as I do. And I'm like, that's the best compliment to me, because they're in there like, hey, you should do it like this and da, 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 da. And, it's really neat to see other, web designers talking to web designers, other artists talking to artists, because there's a reason I made it not industry specific. That's very intentionally done. But to hear from someone in your industry that's doing it is really helpful too. So I love the community aspect to it. So it is a live 6-week program.
Yes. Okay, good. And speaking of me being an affiliate, I added some amazing bonuses to this. So when you purchase through my link, I will send that link. I will put it in the comments. I have thought through, okay, if Shanna gives you all the finances, what else do you need to know? And so, I mean, she talks about sales process and all those things as well. But the other things which I wanted to add on was I'm giving away my sales page secrets masterclass. So this teaches you, if you want to create sales pages or services pages, it's really the same difference. This is what is the most important aspects. This is an entire outline. I have a whole content outline for the sales page. So it's okay, fill in your bits and pieces here. It kind of gives you prompts and everything, and then shows you this is how you create sales pages that convert super, super well. Again, this applies to services pages regardless. When I went into our sales pages destroy, I'm very proud of our conversions on our sales pages. And then I also went into another business and I redid some of their sales pages and sales process, and we doubled their sales. So that was really exciting. So that is what is inside the sales page secrets training. And then again, the outline for all the content that you should have on your sales page. Then I'm also giving away my welcome sequence email templates. So it's so important. If you get someone into your business and you want them to stick around and to actually figure out what you have to offer and to really get that relationship started on the right foot. And then again, get them to figure out what it is that you offer, get them to book in. Then my welcome sequence email templates are exactly again, we've taken our email sequence, we've tweaked it and made it into a blueprint so you can make your own. And then I'm also doing a live webinar on content marketing. So content marketing is my love. Blogging, podcasting, YouTube, I've done all the different types of content marketing, and it is without a doubt, I don't run any ads now, hardly ran ads before. Content marketing is what has made me done literally over $2 million in course sales or sells my services. And so if you want to learn about content marketing from someone who has done it for a little while and kind of knows what they're doing, then the content marketing, again, I have put together that presentation just last week and I'm super excited to deliver it. So that will be
actually,
yeah, come join. So yeah, I'm doing that live in the week where Shanna's talking about marketing and everything. That's when I've aligned the webinar. So it's going to be a live class. And then again, you can definitely ask me all your questions at that live class. And then I also have to go along with that 200 content ideas. So we've taken all the different, because people are always I don't know what to write and everything. And so I've taken okay, here's a bunch of content ideas. Here's how you could tweak it to your industry. And there's also some really funny ones in there. But anyways, yeah, so this is all the different types of content, which are the most important for you. So there's things like all the categories, which I find are super vital that you hit on your content, that people actually, again, are introduced to you and your process and your style and what you're doing and your results and all those things. So yeah, I have the content ideas list for you as well. So those are all the bonuses that you will get if you join in the Blueprint Model through my affiliate link. I am an affiliate. I do get a commission and a kickback. But I truly I don't share about a lot of courses. The ones that I do, I'm this can really help. I really truly believe in what Shanna's teaching, and our philosophies are so similar on finance. And as you can tell, she has some amazing student results. So I'm really excited for anyone who's just feeling either I'm at the beginning of my business, I don't even know what to do with my numbers, or I'm partway through my business and a few years in, and this is still not actually paying out what it should be. And I feel confused or overwhelmed, then go with Shanna. She knows what she's doing. This is not my topic. This is Shanna's topic. And she is absolutely fantastic at what she does. So yeah.
Yeah. Paige, I'm so excited too about your bonuses because I truly believe in analytics, in numbers in your business, but part of that is numbers in your marketing. And so I teach in the Blueprint Model about the importance of sales psychology. And that's why I love that you added on your sales page and services page layout, because that goes so hand in hand. And then when you talk about like content marketing, but we haven't shared this, but neither of us use social media in our business.
Yep.
And that is we talk about in the blueprint model, how everybody needs a marketing funnel. Like we have to know our numbers and back into like how big does our reach need to be in order to book the number of clients that we need. And I am a huge advocate in content marketing. And I just feel like your bonus comes right in where the blueprint model ends and picks up with like, okay, how do we apply this in real life? Build a content marketing strategy, all these ideas. So your bonus, like, I'm so excited about it because it is such a complement to the foundational pieces. That's what I love about the blueprint model. Like it is a foundational course. It's going to teach you these essential elements of running a business analytically, strategically. And then you can come in with these amazing, like, okay, I want to do content marketing, pages, bonuses, like such a huge piece of that. So I do love that we're kindred spirits. And I'm so honored that you would share this with your community, because clearly I love it. And I want to empower everyone to know how to truly create a business designed around the life you want.
Totally. Amazing. Remind us, what is the day that enrollment closes? It's coming soon, right?
August 25th. It is coming soon. So Thursday.
I think that's Thursday.
Thursday the 25th, it ends. And so how we do it, we open enrollment, let all new students in, close enrollment. I would say it's like a semester of school. And then we start together August 26th, and it's a 6-week program.
Amazing. Love it. Okay. So I'll put the description or the link in the description below. If you click through that link, that's how you will get all those bonuses that we mentioned there. And I truly hope, if you feel like this is the right thing for you, if you feel like this is just something which has been overwhelming you and freaking you out and you don't know what to do, then honestly, this is a fantastic solution. So I do hope that you take advantage of that if it feels like the right thing for you. So yeah, thank you, Shanna, so much. This has been amazing. And yeah, I hope to see you inside the course soon, everyone. Bye.
Thanks,
See ya.